Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of On Second Thought. As with every episode, we start with the quote that says, "The future is already here, but it's just not evenly distributed." And the point of the podcast is to talk to people who are building, shaping, curating, and inspiring it. And today, I have someone very lovely with me. Welcome, Malini Malik. She is the co founder of General Items and also the founder of Come Away. We'll get into what both of those are very shortly. But first, hi, Malini. Thank you so much for being a part of this. I know it's been a long time coming. How are you doing?
Right. Hi. Thanks for having me. Like you said, it's a long time coming, and I think before we begin, I would really like to add that this podcast today is a great milestone for me. It's my first, so kudos to you. I don't know how you've convinced me, but here I am. So yeah, thanks for the
I also just
introduction.
want to add a few of the guests. It's been
Right.
their first podcast, and it's
Right.
been really cool because after that, they've either gone on to other podcasts or
Right.
just like felt like they can start their own sort of journey in it. So I hope the same, if you do wish to, hope the same happens for you also, where you don't feel like nervous
Yeah.
to do it. And obviously the reason I reached out is because I think one, I was spellbound when I went to the general item store, and then I had to look into further who's created it, and I stumbled across what you do, and there's so many cool things, and I actually didn't know what you do, but I
Right.
just was like, one, she really has great taste, two, she seems so interesting, and like three, also she's in Bangalore, need to just understand, know more. So let's just start at the beginning. In terms of, you've had an interesting childhood to like journey now, interesting experiences that we've briefly chatted about. So just, want to get a bit of like a link as to where all of these curiosities, curation, all of that came together.
Okay, yeah. So I would like to begin by saying that I'm a woman of many interests, and I particularly don't like any role being defined for me. But having said that, yes, I am now the co founder of General Items, and Come Away is also something I do. But starting from my childhood, I'm an army kid. My dad served in the Indian Army for 30 plus years. So because of that, I had the opportunity to, study across 12 schools across India, and a posting to Mozambique, Africa as well. So I think now that you ask me that question, I feel like a large part of my childhood contributed to where I am. I mean, apart from the cliches of being an army kid, which is, you adapt very fast and you're strong and you're disciplined and all of that. But I feel like for me, what it did was with every posting where we were in India, I feel like that was an opportunity to discover local craft. So in the army, you move every 2 years, right? And you're moving homes every 2 years. So I feel like I saw my mom doing up the home a certain way, and I feel like in certain places, and so most of these places are small towns where you don't have the luxury or access to like big stores, or there's no luxury of hiring an interior designer to do up a house. So I've always seen my mom, be it Srinagar or be it a small town in Punjab, to see what's around you available locally. So I think that very subconsciously I started seeing craft and discovering craft, and seeing how my mom does up the house. And in an army environment, I feel like very early on you get exposed to a certain way of life, which is very formal in that sense, that there's a certain way you host people and conduct yourself. So growing up, you've always seen, like, for a formal dinner party, how do you lay a table, and for a casual lunch, how do you lay a table, whether it's brunch or whatever. So I think those smaller instances sort of built up and stayed with me. And I feel, yeah, I think that was the start of my introduction to the world of craft and design and homeware, and how do you do up a space.
Yeah,
So
and how did you, this is obviously great exposure that you
right.
had, and I think credit your mom as well. You
Yeah.
mentioned her a couple of
Yeah.
times. And like, how did you then double tap on that? Like, there's a couple of threads that you've gone into. You have a lot of knowledge on textile, on
Right.
sourcing. So how did you draw that link yourself?
Right. So I think cut to my high school when it was time to decide what is it that I want to study. Also, I think I need to break the impression of what people have of me today. I think a lot of my friends and colleagues, when they see me as this very accomplished human being, they think that, oh, back in school I was like this, first class topper and first row bencher. But yeah, it wasn't like that for me at all. I was quite naughty as a kid, least interested in studying. I think sports was my first passion. I come from a family of professional squash players, so I think we've been very sporty and athletic growing up. But when it came to my high school, 11th and 12th, I think that's when I realized I was quite caught by the fashion bug. And I remember, I still have this memory that I used to be so obsessed with these fashion magazines like Vogue and Cosmopolitan and Elle and all of that back then. And I still remember this scene where I think before my exams, I have like my accounts book in front of me, but then behind that, there's this magazine, and I'm busy like enjoying this magazine. And my dad enters the room and picks all of these magazines and, gives me a warning that enough is enough. So I think that's when I realized that I potentially wanted to do something in design. And with my limited knowledge, I thought fashion would be that thing. But to my disappointment, I didn't clear the fashion design course I'd applied for.
Right.
And then, being an army kid and with my dad being a typical army man, he said that, there needs to be a plan B, plan C, whatever, plan D, E, F option. And so I applied to a bunch of courses, and then I got through this course called, it was a bachelor's in art history and fine arts. So I think my mum really nudged me in that direction. In fact, I always make fun of my parents that, what sort of parents are you that, you should be nudging me more towards like studying science or commerce and all of that. But I think she insisted at that point that I should really do this course because, I'll learn really nice things and meet nice people. So I think that really laid the foundation of where I am. So I did my bachelor's in art history and fine arts. And during this course, 50% of it was art and 50% of it was design. I think during that course, after trying art and design, I realized that design was my kind of cup of tea. And then I ended up doing my master's in textile design because back then I was quite into learning about fabrics. I studied in Chennai.
Right.
Yeah, I was in Chennai. My dad was posted at some point there, so I ended up doing my college there. And I finished this course. But the thing is, like having studied art and design, I was always enamored by both worlds. And after I passed out, I think I was quite enamored by the art world. And I wanted to, that was my ultimate ambition back then to, be an art curator, work with an art gallery. And I got my first job with an amazing art gallery here in Bangalore. And 3 months into that job, I realized that that's not for me. I think because I was missing playing with colors and designing and, drawing on paper. And that's when I made the switch to the world of design. So, I would say my journey started off as a designer. And then I moved into the world of sourcing. I was with this company called Chumbak. I was with them for 5 years. I joined them when they were 1 store old and left when they were touching 100. So I think that was the real turning point for me and for where I am today. Because I feel like when you're a designer, you're in a very isolated world in the sense that you're designing on paper, but you're far from the reality of knowing how to produce something. At what price point does it need to be produced? Say, for example, if you take a mug, right, you draw it on paper, but you don't know what's the right price to price it at. How is it going to be manufactured? Who are the people who are going to manufacture it? How much should I spend in manufacturing it? So I think sourcing really taught me that. And
I think that's the biggest advantage in a sense that you have in this space. And I'll nuance it by saying that I also work in design, but more with graphic designers. And every graphic design studio, every design studio has this ambition of creating their own products because you're doing that for other people. You have a good sense of it. But I think where most of the times it falls short is the knowledge on actually taking it from concept to production to like understanding market realities, so having that knowledge with the backing of your education, I think like really set the field for you to create something of your own. in that duration, where did the sort of love for travel and then the idea or the seed of come away come from?
Right. So I think the travel bug, I wouldn't say caught me. I feel like it's been a way of life for
Yeah.
me, because having moved every 2 years as a kid, and of course, my parents are very adventurous people. So I think we've always been like that since we've
Yeah.
been kids and even as adults. But I think once I started earning my own money, I realized that my style of traveling was such where I started traveling to places not because I wanted to go to a specific place, but because a certain aspect of that place caught my attention. So, for example, I remember the first trip I did with my own money when I used to work at Chumbak was a trip I did to Bangkok, and on all three, it was a 3 night trip. And on all 3 nights, I stayed in 3 different hotels. And these 3 different hotels slash boutique hotels were designed by, like, one was designed by an architect, the other one was like an old printing press, and so on and so forth. So I think for me, travel became a way of exploring well designed places. It could be anywhere, it didn't matter, but I think that really became my style. And I remember putting these pictures on Instagram, and then people would message me that how are you finding such amazing places to stay, and why don't you recommend something for us. And yeah, I think that's how it started. Actually, how it really started was I was walking home one day. I was quite frustrated. I was on this consulting on a project, and I was like, enough is enough, and I want to do something of my own. And I was singing "Come Away with Me" by Nora Jones, and I was walking on the road, and I was like singing and walking, and I said, oh my God, I'm sitting on all these photographs from my travels. Why don't I just start an Instagram account and call it "Come Away with Me" and discover homes across the world? So,
Yeah. But
so
that's
yeah,
such a
yeah,
beautiful
yeah.
story. And that's how it sort of
That's
started.
how it started.
Yeah.
It started as "Come Away with Me," and then I dropped the "with me"
Yeah.
because when I got kind of serious with it, I said, there's a potential to build a brand out of it. So a shorter name worked
Yeah.
well.
Yeah.
So yeah, I still joke about it that it's something I do on the side. But yeah, maybe
And
it.
for someone who doesn't know, what do you do apart from giving amazing recommendations for places? Like you
Right.
also consult on that front, right?
Right.
So could you explain for someone who doesn't know?
Come Away is a one woman led consultancy run by me.
Yeah.
Um, it's art and design forward. So I feel like I have a certain style of traveling, which is quite intuitive. It's quite design forward. I think I have a knack of finding really special places. They need not be the most expensive places, but they're definitely like really aesthetic places or very, nice, beautiful places that one must experience. So yeah, Come Away is essentially teaching you how to travel in a better, intentional, more joyful way. I feel like when I started, I used to use the word slow a lot, but now I refrain from it because I feel like, one person's slow could be
It's
another
very
person's
true.
fast or vice versa.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
Even to me, actually, I had someone reach out who has a publication called Theory of Slow, and it's very in the space of actual slow living, like
right,
what you and maybe what you and I would think of, but for someone else, it could just be more mindful. It could
right,
be more. So yeah, that makes sense.
yeah,
Before I ask you like more questions, more technical questions, and we get into general items, I just had a thought because you've done art history, you've done design, you've done textile. Like, how do you? So today, the word curator, especially for younger people, has become like a big flex. And
right,
curation could be anything. It could just be I know the best memes. It could be
right.
I know the best bags. It could be I know the best brands. But in internet culture, it's become quite big. But how are you seeing like the pedigree that you have versus how it's being sort of perceived now?
Right.
In terms of and I don't know if you've come across it, but a lot of people now do call themselves
Right.
curators or call themselves without having that much knowledge.
Right.
And I think even in the art history world, I feel so much has changed
Right.
probably from the time where you were
Yeah.
studying it and now. So do you have any take on it? Are you still do you still identify with those parts of?
Right. So I have two theories for this. On one extreme, I feel like at the end of the day, everyone's a curator of their own life or their
Yeah.
own space or whatever it is. So who are we to really,
Yeah.
question that? But on the other word, I also feel like these words have been abused so much now that one is just fed up of hearing them, like curator and storyteller and collaboration and all of that.
Yeah.
So I feel like, at least in my journey, I feel like it has come to me versus me trying to call myself that. I
Yeah.
feel like for me, I proudly say and identify myself with being an expert when it comes to sourcing and making products, because I feel like that's a skill set I've earned, over 15 years now. So
Yeah.
that's something I identify with. That's my job.
Yeah.
But being a curator or a taste maker or a storyteller, I feel like has come to me now.
Yeah.
And especially now that I'm on this entrepreneurial journey and I'm really like putting forward what I truly believe in.
Yeah.
So I feel like maybe these things really should come to you versus you trying to
Make it
make it your, versus you giving it to yourself as a title, or unless of course you're working with a large organization and you're formally becoming one or call that
And if you wouldn't mind, because you've at Chumbak for really long, I think Chumbak is also bought like this desi Indian aesthetic, desi cool as it's called, to India, right? Like and now I think it's been oversaturated, the market. But how was your experience at that point being a part of a brand that was doing some things like at such a large scale?
I think Chumbak, I always say, I think I owe absolutely all my learning to Chumbak, because if not for that switch, I wouldn't have been doing what I am doing today. And in terms of aesthetic, I mean, to be honest, maybe most of the things were not necessarily my individual personal style, but I think in terms of learning, it was like a massive uphill curve for me. And yeah, I think it was a fantastic experience to be a part of that growth story. Vivek and Shubhra, who run the company, are completely self-made people who started this company. And to see that journey from one store to 100 plus was, it was just incredible.
Yeah. And how did you tackle the like sourcing difficulties? I don't know much, but I always hear it's a nightmare.
Right.
And it's like really difficult, especially here. And it's much easier to, I may really have no context, but like it's just much easier to do it in China. And like, it's just so difficult. So how did you navigate some of these things?
I think for me, obviously they saw some sort of skill set in me for them to put me in the sourcing department, because I think back then when we were just a bunch of talented kids who were hired, and then we were placed in certain different departments. And I was very fortunate to work under this guy who just moved from China after 20 years. So that's how I really learned the basics of sourcing. And then I feel like after that everything was on the job. Like you learn, you make mistakes, you grow. And especially in fact, I was having this conversation with my colleague at General Items that like when I was at Chumbak, the first week of my job there, I was just sitting on my desk, and then finally my boss called me and said that, why aren't you working? I'm like, yeah, because I'm waiting for someone to tell me what to do. And then she was like, no one's here to tell you what to do. So you hustled and you figure what needs to be done. So as far as sourcing is concerned, I think very early on I realized that I really like what it entails, whether it's finding vendors, talking to them, negotiating, the whole aspect of creating a product from scratch. So for those of you who don't understand sourcing basically, you're like the middle person between the design team and the outside world, because also most of these brands don't have in-house manufacturing. Contrary to what people think, hardly anyone manufactures in-house. There's the factories, specialized factories that produce for you. So as a sourcing person, as a buyer, as a merchandiser, your job is to connect with the outside world and to find the right person to develop these products for you at a certain price point and the quality. So I feel, most of it was on the job learning and just different experiences as the company was growing, I feel like we were also growing. Like every 6 months, the budgets would increase in terms of things that need to be bought for the brand.
Yeah.
So sometimes I laugh that the simplest way to explain what I do is going shopping with lots of money from the company. That's what
Yeah.
my job was. And sometimes these budget would be like in crores and crores of rupees, but obviously with a lot of analytics involved, that
Correct.
what needs to be bought. And
Yeah, I mean,
yeah.
and now it's also like one of my best friends does sustainable sourcing.
Right.
And their thing is like across the globe, like find
Right.
the one that is going to give you. And I think a lot of India focused as well, like which has more nuances there of like,
Right.
cost versus the final product, if it's going to meet all of the requirements. And I think I wouldn't say it's growing as a space, it's always been growing, but I
Right.
feel like a lot more people have understood the importance of it.
Right.
But just to shift gears a bit, then what was just the node from
Right.
to start general items? Like to
Right.
think of starting a physical place
Right.
and a digital storefront. Like
Right.
what was the thinking there?
Right.
Because a lot of times people do want to start their own brand, but
Right.
I wouldn't say safer options, but it takes a lot to open a physical store as
Yeah.
well and do it the way you guys have. So
Yeah.
what was the little BTS before it
Right.
actually became general
Right.
items?
So I think to give you context to start with, I always envisioned myself opening a store, brand, e-commerce, whatever you want to call it. And I feel like a big part of that was to work in all of these places I have,
Yeah.
because the idea was always to learn on the job that how are these guys doing it, right? And obviously all the places I worked at, whether it's the art gallery or Chumbak or all these other brands, I think I've always been inspired by the journey of the founders.
Yeah.
And I think that really also inspired me further to do what I'm doing today. But having said that, I think there was no point in the last 15 years where I wanted to do it so much, which meant leaving my current job, because obviously I've enjoyed all these jobs, what I've done. So yeah, I feel like general items is a story that's happened to me rather than me going out and looking for it.
Yeah.
I obviously knew I wanted to start something at some point, but to be honest, the story seems like it's straight out of a movie. In fact,
Yeah.
my co-founder Spandana and me laugh about it all the time. It's like, it seems like a love story, that was just meant to happen. I think it was the right place at the right time. I don't know whether you want to call it destiny or whatever it is, but I think the universe truly transpired for this to make it happen. Talking about how General Items came about, so Spandana, who's my co-founder at General Items, she runs this brand called Teapoy,
Right.
which is a homeware studio based out of London. And she was looking to open a shop in Bangalore because there's been quite a fan following of Teapoy in India, but they don't retail here. So yeah, I think through word of mouth, she heard about me, and she was looking for someone to help her set up a Teapoy standalone store. And that's when paths crossed. And
Yeah.
the first thing I was like, I remember emailing her with my proposal, and I said, this is my proposal for 6 months, and I don't think you'll need me more than that. And she said, yeah, okay, cool.
Let's see.
Let's meet in person. And we met in person, and we really hit it off. And then like it was like love at first sight, and we realized that we like each other's vision, we like each other's sense of style, and what is it that we want to do in our lives. And coming to the store, I mean, the property that we'd found used to be an old Kirana store, general store, and the original signage outside the shop reads selling student notebooks and other general items. So that, for some strange reason, we never got rid of that. We started the work and all of that on the property, but we never asked the contractor or the painter to remove it. And then, I don't know, out of suddenly on a whim, we were like, why don't we just start a brand and call it General Items and do it together, because that would also
Yeah.
Give us an opportunity to work with other like-minded artists, designers, creative people to be housed under one sort of
Yeah.
concept store, and also the fact that I wanted to do something and we got along, and
Yeah. And
yeah,
how
so
long back was this when
this
you
was last year. So
Oh
we
wow.
yeah,
I
yeah,
thought
yeah.
it was like
No,
further
no, no,
than that.
no, no. That's the, I think that's the cutest part of the story, that
Yeah.
both of us didn't know each other at all,
Yeah.
and we met in April.
Yeah.
May we took over the site. 2 months we finished all the work,
Yeah.
the curation, the construction, all of that,
Yeah.
and the third month we launched. So I think all of this was achieved from our meeting to launch was all in a
In
matter
that
of 3 months.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, I just want to share like my experience, and
Right.
that because that's how I got connected with you. I feel people even not in Bangalore know about general items, of
Right.
course, because of all of the reasons you mentioned. It's very big on Instagram
Right.
too. So I also had lurked and had seen, I was like, this is a cool place that I want to check out. And recently moved to Bangalore. And one of my designer friends,
Right.
younger friends, she was like, let's go together. And we went in, and I mean, there's a lot said about it, but it really commands the space of where it's at. You can't
Right.
obviously miss it. And I went in, and she was a bit late, so I spent my time just wandering about. And someone was at the desk, I forget his name.
Nishchal.
Yeah, and so I asked him all these questions, and I think the branding is also so well thought of.
Right.
The I wouldn't say curation, but it really does feel like a gallery. It doesn't
Right.
feel like a store.
Right.
Feels like part gallery, part store, and like all of those things really stood out because, again, I think if one has traveled, or I think in Goa there are a bit of these concept stores, but
Right.
it's not at that level where it's like art meets design meets,
Right.
so that really hit me. And
Right.
then and I think that anyone who follows the page should go check it out in person too. I just wanted to add that. How did you all pin down these pillars that we wanted to be really high on curation with specifically Indian brands,
Right.
like a Lovebirds, Clayman, and there's
Right.
so many zines, so many
Right.
like design forward publications. So
Right.
was that a culmination of both your sort of thinking, or did you all also let brands reach out to you?
Right. I think to begin with, obviously, before we launched general items, not many people knew
Right.
of the concept and all of that. But obviously, I think years of our experience came to play, years of connections and relationship building and all of that. So I feel like, I mean, if you start with the look and feel of the store, we actually both come from an art background and then
Right.
design background, and we actually call general items a design store and an occasional gallery.
Yes.
So I think what that means is that, like you said, when you enter the store, even though we operate as a very commercial retail store, but the experience is also very gallery like, right? You don't see many items together clubbed on our display shelves. So I feel like for us, the biggest priority rather is that we obviously know that customers are going to come and buy our products because they're great products. But for us, I think what's most important is that we are engaging with the community and we're trying to educate and impart knowledge with respect to these products, with the craft form. So I think that was the whole idea of making it gallery-like. We don't want it to be another shop where you're just entering and, like the staff is least bothered in explaining. And, if you like it, you like it. If you don't like it, it's, up to you. So I think that was a very big factor for us to make it gallery-like. And why are we calling it a gallery-like space,
I mean,
right?
and you'll also use this space for a lot of community events.
Yes.
So could you talk about that? And also, when I went, it was objects of emotion.
Yeah.
Does that change thematically, or is that something that sticks?
Right.
And also explain for someone who doesn't know.
Yeah, so we launched with our first showcase called Objects of Emotion. That was the theme of our curation. In retail, what usually happens is that people launch collections season-wise. So whether it's spring, you have spring, summer, you have autumn, winter, and all of that.
Right.
For us, we decided that we'll do it a little differently. Initially, we were thinking we'll switch it up every 6 months, but because we're a young brand, I feel like it's been a year and people are still discovering us. So we said, let it just run for a year. And now we're looking to change our curation again, because obviously, if you're a retail shop and people are coming to you, you obviously need to offer them some sort of freshness and variety as well. Otherwise, why would they come to you, right? So every few weeks, we try and get new things from the same brands. But now we're looking to change the show, and they're going to be a different set of designers, artists, all of that. Yeah, like a different viewpoint on.
Correct.
Yeah.
So what I was curious about is, if I'm a brand or a designer,
Right.
how do I get about this process of wanting to be featured at
Right.
general items?
Right. Yeah. Also, to answer your question, I think before we launched General Items, I mean, we were very clear with the kind of people who we wanted to onboard. And I think it was very easy for us because we've been in the industry for over 15 years now. So I think people had the faith and they trusted us with our vision. So I think it was easy to crack those collaborations, whether it was with Lovebirds or Clayman or whoever. And now, obviously, after we've opened the store and we've exploded in a way we never imagined, I think now I think there's no limits, right? I think the whole world wants to be at
Exactly
General
why.
Items. So yeah, I think. But having said that, I feel like as a company, as a brand, we're still very. I wouldn't say we're very stiff and cold about our process. I think we're very approachable people. I'm there at the store most days, so you can literally just walk up to me, have a conversation, write to us on Instagram. But more than anything, I think how we evaluate, and we get that question quite a lot, that how do you select things, right? I think because the brand is so personally driven, I think more than anything, it's what we would buy for ourselves, right? So I feel like with sourcing and being a curator and whatever you call it, I feel like it's such a personal journey, because if you don't, at least in my case, it's always that. If you don't believe in the product, why would you make it or produce it or have it in the store, right? So I feel like it stems from that, and B, I think we're very clear with our sense of style and aesthetic. I feel, again, that's very personal. I think Spandana and me are both very sporty, casual, minimal sort of people in our style, and I think that's what we bring to the table. It's a very gender neutral store. It's very minimal. It's very industrial. So I think
it's also like something I read which was like enhancing everyday moments. So it's like the spoon that's really cute, or like a small bowl. So it could be like an object of everyday use, but it just gives you joy when you're using it, which I found was quite true of all of the elements that were there.
So that was the whole idea of the first show, Objects of Emotion. So it was a play on how you develop a sense of emotion with every product you use, whether it's your favorite mug you drink tea out of, or like a hand-me-down, from your grandmom, or like a crockery set or whatever. So for us, it was that play on basic everyday utilitarian items
that can give you joy,
that give you a sense of joy, that are well designed, and that they're not so special and ornate that you have to save it for a special occasion. Like, we encourage people to use these things every day. So
and what has been like the feedback of people coming in and people buying products now, like consumers? Are a lot of them very new to the, I wouldn't call it a concept store, but I mean just new to this experience, or what is the audience like that you're seeing?
So when we started, funnily enough, for some strange reason, we were thinking that our audience is going to be mostly women in their 30s, 40s, early 50s. But what caught us by surprise is, and now 1 year into running the store, there's data to prove it, that 80% of our audience is sitting between 20 and 32 years of age. So I think that really caught us by real surprise, that like the young folk are really our audience, and I feel like, having said that, the amount of time I spend in the store, like eyes closed, if you ask me to draw a sketch of a General Items customer, like I can do it for you. The way they dress, the way they speak, the kind of jobs they do. I think for me, that's also been an important factor of spending this last 1 year on the shop floor and getting to know who the exact audience is. And I feel like, they're young people. I think they're craving for a space which is inspiring in terms of design, in terms of educating educating themselves about craft or a certain maker,
Yeah.
even if it means that just, coming to the store and having a chat about life,
Yeah.
or,
It's
they
also like getting the chance to meet people who have the same
yeah,
reference points
yeah,
and
yeah.
or actually getting the chance to meet the designer or
Right,
the
right,
curator.
right. And in fact, I feel like we've done such a good job with our community building that just today in the morning, I was seeing this girl who I met through the store is friends with another girl who comes for our events, and they're
Right.
celebrating their birthdays together.
Right.
So I think that really brings me joy that, that we're trying to
Enabling.
really enable connections and doing something really special for
Yeah.
the community, for the young people, for them to have the space to
Yeah.
come and be safe. I think that was also a very big aspect for us where, so many times you go into these very intimidating stores and you feel very,
Yeah.
left out, or that the fact that you're being judged that you
Yeah.
can't afford a certain item. But I feel like for us, like customer service is above anything.
Yeah.
So that we strive really hard for. And anyone who comes in, even if you can't say afford anything, you still feel welcomed, and we still make sure that you know about everything in the store. And because so much of our audience is the younger lot, I think they're very aspirational also. So they always like tell us, oh, like I'm buying one spoon now, and then I'm getting my
Correct.
salary, and then I'll come back. So I
To
think
get
that's
this,
really
yeah.
special for us.
Yeah, I
And
can vouch for that. I think
yeah.
that it was so helpful to get so much information and
Right.
knowledge. One really interesting thing he told me is that y'all are expanding as well and looking
Right.
at Bombay.
Right.
Is that
Yeah,
happening?
I feel like I said, right, like I feel like General Items is one of those stories that was just, I guess, written for the both of us.
Yeah.
And I feel like, to be really honest, we gave in our heart and soul when we were building this, like
Yeah.
any other project one would do. But for the kind of, exposure and love that we've received,
Yeah.
I don't think in our wildest of dreams we would have imagined that. Like all our marketing, PR, everything has been organic. We haven't spent a single rupee on any of this. So I feel like with all the love that we've received, I feel like more than us wanting to open more stores, I think the universe and our audience really wants us to do that for us. Like we get shoppers from all across the world. We have so many people who come in from Bombay, Delhi. So I feel we really should go down that path of definitely opening a store in Bombay, Delhi. And we're also working on our website, which is going to be live in a couple of months.
Right.
We haven't been in any sort of rush for that because we want people to experience the store.
Yeah.
But
And given your perspective of, I mean, just having been really well traveled and
Right.
Even your co-founder's experience, which is so nuanced in design, how would you place a General Items in a global context?
right.
I know from an India context for sure it is something, if you've not experienced, it would be your first experience,
Right.
having like a gallery that's also a store. I think in like Berlin and Amsterdam,
Right.
you have like experiences like that
Yeah.
that might be more edgy, but
Right.
where would you place it on a global scale?
I think when General Items, what's special is of course, the place that it's set in. I feel like if the same shop was in a mall, I don't think it would have ever come across the way
Yeah.
it does. So I think what's special is the
Facade.
setting that it's set in, that it used to be this old, general store selling school stationery supplies.
Yeah.
But now that I think we have the story going and set in really solid foundation, I feel like now it's just a matter of being anywhere. And say if it's in India, obviously we focus on Indian makers, and we always question what is a General Items at the end of the day, right?
Yeah.
So I feel like, say hypothetically, if this brand would go international, I think it would be kind of sweet to focus on that specific region and the creative makers in that region, and focus and really like question what is General Items
There,
for that
yeah.
region, right?
Do y'all ever have conversations of this is just a lateral, like, so again in design and like this is just a huge narrative and genuine push to create a brand from India for the world,
Right.
for just a very strong desire. So do
Right.
y'all have conversations on that front as well, saying that
Right.
the ambition for this is that, or the ambition is more like you're saying, the idea of wherever we go will reflect the general items of that place
Right.
in a simplistic manner.
Right. I think more than creating a brand, especially for a brand like us, because I feel like right now we're into so many buckets.
Yeah.
Because we have Teapoy, which is an in-house brand. Then we're
Yeah.
also developing general items as a brand.
Yeah.
It's not just the name of a store. We're producing products under general items as well. So
Yeah.
tomorrow, if if we want to just focus on general items as a brand, that could also be
Yeah.
a path for us. But as of now, I think primarily we are a concept store. And so, yeah, I think for us, it's more of showcasing what creative people are doing.
Yeah.
So for us, I think more than creating a brand which is from India for the world, I think for us, I think what will work better is being in a
Yeah.
region and focusing on that versus just being from like India and like
Taking that
to the
anywhere.
world. Yeah. Also, I feel like we're not very location centric as such. Like
Yeah.
even at general items now for the next showcase, you'll slowly start seeing designers from abroad as well.
Right.
So many of them have been from my travels. So for example, for next year, we're planning this edit of different stools and different materials.
Nice.
So there's this designer I met in Bangkok. She does these chairs made out of recycled plastic. So, for example, we're going to be bringing her stools to the store.
Yeah.
So I feel like for us, we're not really location specific. I think for us, good design
Is the barometer.
is the yeah.
And how are you all imagining building the team?
Right.
Because it's a lot from what you're saying. I'm just imagining both of y'all in like few like so how.
It's been, I think the last 1 year has been non-stop for me. So Spandana is based out of London, and
Right.
she has her hands full with Teapoy, obviously, as well. But yeah, I think me being here 1 year I've been at it for the
Yeah.
last 1 year, Monday to Sunday, if
Yeah.
I'm in Bangalore, which mostly I am. And yeah, I feel like a lot of blood, sweat, and tears have gone into building this little baby. And as of now, I mean, from the outside, it seems like we have like this full-fledged team with like social media and PR and this and that.
Yeah.
But believe it or not, we're just two people right now, which is me and my colleague at the store.
Yeah.
So we're kind of managing everything ourselves.
Yeah.
But yeah, slowly, I think as we grow, we'll definitely need more hands on deck.
Yeah.
Especially with our website coming up.
Do you guys design all of that as well in house?
Yeah. The website?
Yeah.
So the website, we have a developer we work with, but also we're using Teapoy's template.
Right.
So that's
Something that's
yeah.
And I know it's been a year, which is long and also
Right.
short, but
Yeah.
like what would your reflection be on shifting into this entrepreneurial mode, even
Right.
though you've always had that in everything
Right.
that you've done,
Right.
but given this is 100% all in.
Right. I think for me, more than anything, running a business has taught me more about myself
Yeah.
than the business itself. I mean, with the business, I feel like I have the most clarity with what we're building and where we want to go. But I feel like the most enjoyable thing for me has been getting to know myself, how I am in certain situations. And the silver lining is that I love running a business.
Mm-hmm.
I really know, I don't know what I would have done if after a year or a few months into it, I would have realized that I don't like running a business, because I feel like it's a different skill set completely.
Yeah.
And I feel like either you're cut out for it or you're not. It's very easy to say, especially when you're a creative person, that, oh, I'd love to do something of my own someday.
Mm-hmm.
But having said that, when you do get down to doing something of your own, and especially if you're from a creative field, most of it is suddenly forgotten, right?
Yeah.
And then you're just focusing on operations and setting up a team, and especially if it's a physical store, then customer service, operations, and all of that.
Yeah.
So I feel like good thing is that I've realized that I enjoy doing it. But yeah, I think it's been the most challenging thing I've ever done my entire life, and it's a learning every day. And I think I'm most excited about where this experience will also take me ahead in my future. I feel like that way, and sometimes my friends find it quite funny, like even though I'm on this entrepreneurial journey, I feel like I don't get attached to what I do
Interesting.
easily.
Yeah.
Like, like my friends are like, oh, this is your baby, and like
Yeah.
it's for life and all of that. But I'm like, no, I don't look at it like, for me, at the end of the day, it's a job,
Yeah.
and it's an experience, and obviously I'll do it till the day I enjoy doing it.
Yeah.
But I'm also looking for, because I feel like for me this has been a great breakthrough, where from sourcing I've switched to business,
Actually,
right?
yeah.
And so now on my CV I can prove that I can run a successful business.
Yeah.
So for me, I feel like that's a
It
big
could also be a
takeaway.
stepping stone into something else in
Yeah,
the
it could be
future.
like a, yeah, you
But
never
is there
know.
any part that you don't enjoy of the process? So it could be anything. It can also be personality related, where it's
Right.
like, oh, I don't like dealing with too many people, or I
Right.
don't like, is there any part which of course you have to do? It's
Right.
like part of the job or
Right.
part of the business. You have
Right.
to do it, but any part that you find
Right.
especially challenging.
I think I'm going to do one positive and one negative. So the positive thing is that I've realized that I really like treating people well. Like, even if it's the people who I hire
Yeah.
for the team, I feel like I really look out for them, not only in terms of like what they're doing at general items. I think I get very protective of them, in the sense that, because they're all young people, right?
Yeah.
Like, for example, Nischal, who you met, is
Right.
21 years old, right?
Right.
So I think I really start looking out for them, in the sense that what is it that they're going to do in their life, and
Yeah.
all of that. So I feel like I'm very empathetic that way, as like a people's person.
Yeah.
And even with our customers, like, I really like welcoming them and really treating them well. Negative, I have to say, the only thing that frustrates me is my accountant, who every day is troubling me for like OTPs all the
Yeah,
time. So I
yeah.
think that's kind of annoying at times. So I feel like as we grow, it would be nice to maybe get like a finance person on our team, who can handle payments and
Yeah.
signing checks and all of that.
Yeah.
Though signing checks I enjoy, because it's like a sign of like
Yeah.
power, or whatever you want to call it, like
Yeah.
ownership. But I feel like, I think these little things come in my way of doing
what you
what
wanna-
I love doing, which is the products and the
Yeah.
sourcing and finding new brands and all of that.
Yeah. And you kind of touched upon this, but like, what are you excited about in the coming future for general items,
Right.
but also for yourself? And
Right.
it could be the same answer.
Right. I feel like how I like living my life is, it's a sum of experiences I want to have in my life. I feel like, again, like I joke about this a lot with my friends, like they all think I'm this super ambitious person and all of that, but I don't really like thinking of myself that way. I feel like there are certain experiences in my life I want to have.
Yeah.
Now, whether that translates into building a great brand, or if I become successful, or all of that, I feel like all of that is just a byproduct of what I really want to do.
Yeah.
I think for me, it's a way of life, the way I want to live my life, the lifestyle, right?
Yeah.
I feel like I'm lucky enough that I figured very early on what is it that I like doing.
Yeah.
And I think this is something I learned from my dad. He always told me, he used to play squash for India, and he was in the army as well. So he used to tell me that, I got to do what I love, and I could have been elsewhere earning a lot of more money, like in the corporate or all of that, but I chose this life because it gives me a great lifestyle and I enjoy doing it.
Yeah.
So similarly for me, I think with the combination of the sourcing and the travel, so it's a way of life for me. It doesn't really feel like work, so it doesn't matter if I'm working on a Sunday, Monday, or
Yeah.
whatever, right? And so yeah, so I have certain experiences I want to tick off, like even with the brand, like certain founders or people I've worked with, I've looked up to, right? So for me, it's like I want to open like certain number of stores because I want to see how it feels like, and I want to build a company, and I want to get funding, and then I want to sell the company. So these are experiences I want to see for myself. Or even if it's like, having a child one day, or I want to open a hotel at some point, and I want to do a yoga teacher's training. So I feel like these are experiences I want to have,
And then you go, that's...
and then I just go about living my life doing the things I like doing.
Yeah, and Come Away is also, you're managing that.
Yeah, and
also,
Come Away is
concept.
also a big part of that, where I design itineraries for people and help them travel in a better and nicer way. Yeah.
That's amazing. I think before I ask the last question, actually, I just wanted to ask again from your perspective, there is a lot of flattening of culture that's happened more from an online but also offline perspective. Like, so by that I mean a lot of cafes looking the same, a lot of hotels looking the same, a lot of, if you say boutique also, there are like the really niche ones, but in general the understanding's gotten very Do you see that a lot, or do you feel now if there's a push back? Like, and there's
Right.
a lot of different strands of it. There's one strand that, that there's like ugly design coming back, there's
Right.
nostalgic design coming
Yeah.
back. There's no one wants, everyone wants like unique, like no one wants one of the same, but in the
Right.
physical world there's still a lot of like
Right.
sameness. Do you see that, or do you feel like that's not true and it's just more of a narrative?
No, I think it's very true. In fact, I recently spent a month in Washington D.C. My younger brother lives there, so I go every year. And because I was there for a longer time, so I said, why not? I just want to follow my routine, what I follow here in
Yeah.
Bangalore. So I found myself a yoga studio, and then whatever, going out to a cafe to work. But then after a few weeks, I realized that I could be in Bangalore or DC. The experience
The
is the
same.
same, and that's when I thought to myself that it's so important to actually focus on what's going on around you.
Yeah.
Like I feel like even if in terms of aesthetics, it's kind of the same. Like for example, a store like General Items, right? Like a lot of people tell us, oh, it could be a store in Tokyo or
Right.
Europe or wherever. But I feel like once you enter the store and you hear our story of why we're doing what we're doing and the people we're focusing on and the craft we're focusing on, I think if you
Yeah.
get into those nuances and if it's local, I think that makes it special. For example, even when I was in DC, right,
Yeah.
I like exploring stores and shopping, and so many stores I was going to. Like you don't feel like buying anything because, like for me as a shopper, if I'm traveling somewhere, I want to buy something that is from that place.
Right.
And then finally, I discovered this store, beautiful store, where they sell these brooms made by some local American
Yeah.
designer, which was truly special. So I feel like I think the smaller nuances, if
Yeah.
everyone focuses on what's around them in terms of material or artists, designers,
Yeah.
that could create a good differentiating factor.
And any Indian designers that you're hoping to get, or that you're excited about? Not hoping to get on, just excited
So
about.
yeah, second show seems super exciting. We have I shouldn't reveal much, but we're doing a General Items version of a classic white shirt. So from the
Oh,
last
okay.
showcase, we did a jacket with
Yeah.
lovebirds.
Yeah.
This showcase, the second showcase, we're doing a white shirt with Savio John. He's a designer based out of Goa. We're doing another jacket with Naushad Ali, who's a fashion designer, one of my favorite fashion designers,
Yeah.
based out of Pondicherry. Then we're working with a very cool artist from New York who's doing these candles for us in charcoal and beeswax. So yeah, I think the fun thing of running your own store is that you
You
get
decide.
to work with people who you've admired all along,
Mhm.
and they admire your work also. So I think it's a great marriage of like-minded people coming together and creating amazing products for the store. We're looking at revamping our ceramic range.
Yeah.
We're also producing a new ceramic range under General Items. So yeah, these are some of the designers. We're also doing something cool with Phantom Hands, which is one of my most favorite furniture brands based out of Bangalore.
Right.
Yeah, and then the Bangkok stools I mentioned.
Right.
That's quite exciting.
Right.
Yeah.
And just to like wrap up, what, since this podcast is called On Second Thought,
Right.
is there anything that you've had a second thought on recently?
I think, yeah, I think I do get a lot of second thoughts all the time. But yeah, I think it would be that how, it's nice to sometimes leave your path to the universe. And I feel like it sounds like a cliche, but I feel like what you plan for yourself and what the universe is planning for you is, I think, most times much better, and one should have faith in that process. Even if you're feeling stuck in life or in a relationship or in a job, I think my attitude has always been that, just stay put. There's something better coming for you, and it always happens that way.
Yeah.
Obviously, you need to put in the hard work, and you need to obviously move in that direction. You can't just like sit
And give up. Yeah.
and give
Yeah.
up. But yeah, I think just having faith in the universe that things will work out for you.
That is beautiful. Thank
Yeah.
you so much for coming.
Thank you.
I wish I could. I will share in the post how long it's taken for this to happen. But
Right.
I'm so grateful that you did come and you shared so openly
Right.
about the story. And I know that there's so many people who are really interested in general items, but I think there's a lot more people who go that one step further and want to understand the people behind the brand.
Right.
So thank you for coming and sharing and letting others also know and be part of that journey. And I think it makes it a lot more meaningful then.
Right.
So yeah.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. And like I said, it's a big milestone for me. I'll always remember this as the
The
day I put myself in front of the camera, because I'm yeah, very shy and get nervous
yeah, I
talking.
hope the
Yeah,
experience was.
it was.
Yeah, it's a good job.